Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Sorry about that. I forgot to set it to stream horizontally. So as soon as I hit live, YouTube's like, you have to turn your thing around. So anyways, guys, this is like so weird. I don't like streaming like this. How is everybody doing? Or should I say, hey, my sweet babies, since we're talking about Monique today, rather than say, hey, guys, like I usually do. And as always, today's topics were chosen by my patrons. And if you would like to become a patron, you can join us on patreon.com/psychicbellalove. That's the only place that I take requests, and all of the topics that we cover on our Tuesday lives are all chosen by my patrons. So, and then that's also where we have all kinds of other exclusive content. It is a spiritual community. We have weekly lives. We talk about the Illuminati and all of that good stuff over there as well. So, hey Janelle, hey Ronnie, hey Lindsay, hey Can, hey Preston. How are you guys? And hopefully, like, the mirror isn't catching too much of my own reflection. I had to turn my desk because in my house, the electrical outlets are in the weirdest places. And then they're all like far apart from each other. Like newer homes have them like every so many feet. But this house was built, I think, before I was even conceived. So it's old. And then on top of it, half of them don't work on. So I had to run like all of the cords like underneath my desk, and then sometimes when I would move, my chair would yank the cords and then yank the laptop or the tripod, so I had to turn my desk the other way. So I gotta fix my background now. But I always keep a mirror by me when I do spiritual work anyways, you guys. Hot tip for any of those that practice, because that way any negative energy that may be coming in either gets absorbed by the mirror or bounced back to the sender. So Monique makes you crave a Cinnabon every time she says sweet babies. Hey Robin, how are you, babe? That's funny. Now you're gonna make me want Cinnabon every time that I see that. There was something else that somebody said that was so funny the other day. Oh, they said Chloe Bailey reminds them of the fish that Angelina Jolie played in Shark Tales. And I was like, oh my God, she does like remind me of her. But like, obviously it was a beautiful fish. Don't get me wrong. It's just like, if somebody drew Hallie as a fish, that would be her. And her name's what, Lola, I think? So we'll catch you later, Preston. I hope you have a great day, babe. Love you. So, hey, Donna. Hey, Teddy. I mean, if they ever make a live action version of Shark Tales, then they could put Chloe in it. So, and shout out to everybody that will watch this later on the replay crew. We appreciate you. Oh my God, why do I look so like white today? I don't know if I do to you guys, because I was like in my like camera, like I look almost yellow, but then on my computer screen, I look like I'm pale as a ghost. And I don't know why. So mirrors are definitely portals, but I set the intentions that my mirrors are portals to absorb negative energy. And then I, spiritually cleanse them on top of just Windexing them when I'm cleaning the house. So, and you guys, I went so freaking crazy with the bleach and the cleaning products the other day that it's been like, what? That was Sunday morning. Today's Tuesday. I can still feel it in the back of my throat. You know how you get that like big whiff of bleach and it like burns your nostrils and you can smell it all day long? It hit me in the back of the throat too, and I swear to God, like it still hasn't completely gone away yet. But that's the thing. Oh, I look less. Okay, I was like, my computer's shitty anyway, so that's why I was like, I never know if it's the computer or if how it looks to you guys too. But anyways, people don't like talk about this, but like we have really hard water in California. So like you constantly have to be doing something to prevent it, or despite your best efforts, you still end up with like lime and rust stains and like the hard mineral buildup and stuff. So it's just constantly like cleaning, trying to prevent it or trying to get rid of it because somehow you still ended up with some of it somewhere. So it's like when I do like the big deep cleans, like, you know, I gotta use all those products to get rid of that. Then I can like bleach to disinfect on top of it. So it takes forever to clean and it takes such a toll on my freaking hands and my nails and all of that. But I can't stand looking at it. And oh my God, it is the freaking worst in the toilets because where the water level sits, like it just builds up. And like I clean, like surface clean my house on a daily basis. I vacuum every single day. Every single day I clean the toilets. Every single day I wipe down all of the counters with like a Clorox wipe, you know, and make sure that things are like in the handles and stuff so that we're making sure we're not, you know, leaving germs and shit around everywhere. And it's still, oh my God, every 3 weeks I'm like in there with the pumice stone trying to get that damn ring of hard water stains around the toilet bowl off because it just makes it look like it's dirty, even though it's like, it's not. I clean it. I can't help it. And that's the thing with me because, and I've talked about this in Patreon, you know, there's kind of like trauma in certain cultures around being dirty because white people acted like we were dirty and Italians like, you know, there was this like, oh, you're a greasy wop is what people used to like call us and stuff. So like that trauma was passed down through every generation of my family on like, you had to take 1,000,000 showers a day, make sure you always smell good, change your clothes 100 times a day, make sure your house is spotless. So like I literally, even though nobody ever comes in my house, I'm still always like, oh my God, if somebody came in here, they're gonna think I'm dirty, like when there's like water stains in the sink or something. And trust me, I know it was far worse for the Black community. I am not by any means negating that, just, you know, letting you guys know like basically where that trauma comes from, because it is trauma in a sense when we all seem to have some sort of OCD about stuff and we can't just calm down sometimes. But anyways, guys, I wanted to ask you guys something real quick because I asked my patrons this because it just was like, wow, where'd that come from? So I've seen in the comment sections, because I don't know if you guys have seen that like Beyonce did those like that Essence magazine pictorial for the hair care line, and a lot of people were like, why isn't Solange involved in this? Because that would like make sense, you know, and especially because Solange, we seem to know Solange is somebody that like is more experimental with their hair and wears their own hair out more often than what we assume Beyonce does, because we don't know for sure, you know, with her. And people were responding to those comments and saying Solange doesn't fuck with Beyonce and Tina right now. So I was like, Wait, is this like something that everybody's been talking about and I missed it? Like, where did this come from? Do you guys know anything about this? Hey, Hondro, how are you? Well, I think that, you know, for some of us that our families were like extremely militant about like being hygienic and clean to the point that it was like, you know, traumatizing and stuff. I think that that's where that trauma passes down. That's your first time hearing that? Okay, because I was just like, where did that come from? Yeah, unexplained fears can definitely be past life trauma also, but in this instance, you know, this is definitely the effects of like colonization and colorism and racism and prejudice. So, oh, I'm sorry, babe. I hope you feel better. Make sure you drink some water. Hey, Elijah, how are you? Oh, you have fun packing up, and I'm excited for your journey to Korea, though. So, all right, because I was just like, is this something that people have been talking about? Like, what happened? I mean, we'll do a reading on it at some point, but I was just like, where did this come from? Because it seemed like the way they were saying it is fact, like everybody knew this, and I was just the first one seeing it. So I'm good, babe. But you know, that's why like sometimes I've noticed though, like when you do get that like random weird rumor or a comment like in a comment section like that, sometimes those are the things that have the most weight to it and end up coming true. So that's why I don't always discount things immediately too. But we'll read on it in the future. And so anyways, in addition to Miss JLo, you know, having this flop album and this flop single that despite her, because didn't she sample the Sean Paul song? I was gonna say Big Sean, and I was like, his name is not Big Sean. Do not say Big Sean, Bella. And I was just like racking my brain, like, why can't I think of the guy's name all of a sudden? Yes, she did, Elijah. So apparently, this is like, okay, this is what I saw that they said about this, and you guys, I'm probably gonna like fall on my ass laughing because it's just the ego and the narcissism and the delusion was just so strong in this. So, and by the way, also, this album was very delayed because last year she was doing Apple Music interviews with that guy, what's his name, Zayn. And she was talking about the album and it was supposed to like come out then. And now all of a sudden it finally drops. So I was like, how come people weren't talking about her album being delayed and making a big deal about it? But probably because they had to get somebody else to come in and re-record all of the vocals. So anyways, she had originally put out that album, This Is Me Now, or whatever it was called, and now this is supposed to be the follow-up, and she said that this is possibly going to be a full circle moment and the retirement of her music career, and that she wants this to be a collector's item for the fans because she felt like the first album was so great and it became a collector's item for the fans, but also that she feels like she has reached the apex of her musical career and this is the absolute best work and there's no way that anybody could top this. So she just doesn't see how she could release any more albums after this. You guys, the comments on that fucking post. People were just like, keep this one. Who the hell is looking at your albums as collector's editions? People were tagging Ashanti and asking how many of the songs on the album she sang. Like, there was not one positive comment. I think I saw this on Baller Alert. It was one of the bigger blogs that has, you know, like, their posts get 5,000-6,000 comments. I was scrolling for an hour and a half. I'm not even gonna lie, I was high out of my fucking mind as well, so it was even more hilarious to me because I had a bad day and I took a gummy. And I was on the floor in freaking tears for an hour and a half reading the comments because they were so funny. Oh, and she also said in it too, don't let Benny Medina hear this though, because then he's gonna be already booking me another studio and saying, Jennifer, you're not done. There's still more to create in you. I was like, so okay, we all need to go collect it. Like, Benny Medina, come outside. We're only gonna jump you a little bit because apparently this is your fault. But it gets better, you guys, because, you know, she released a song with Lotto and it got like 14,000 streams, and apparently the album did 14,000 streams on Spotify the first week. But on top of this, you guys, a couple days after I saw that and was still trying to recover from the secondhand embarrassment, here comes Glock Topics posting this magazine cover to editorial thing that Jennifer did, that she is self-funding and producing a movie about her and Ben's love story. And I was like, okay, so it's gonna be full of complete and utter fucking lies because she's gonna try to rewrite history, and this is her way of, since my husband can't ever be bothered to make it seem like he enjoys 1 second of his life with me, I'm gonna make a movie to try to convince all of you. Otherwise, and I'm just like, who is interested in watching this? First and foremost, and secondly, because they just posted the cover and like a little, you know, paragraph about it. So I didn't read the article, but I was just like, please God, let Ben be involved in this. Only because he is a good actor and director, so at least he can somewhat save it and make it somewhat watchable for people that do care about Jennifer Lopez. But like, that's gonna be horrendous, and it's just gonna be one big ass ego trip. And I was like, are you gonna show the 78 marriages and engagements, and this is my soulmate declarations in between the first time y'all were together and then the last time that you got together? Because if you don't, we're not interested. So her ego is abnormally huge for no reason. Girl, at least have some talent. Well, this is the thing, okay? The first time that her and Ben broke up, because I'm 41, so I was like a young adult when this happened. You know, I think I was like 20 or something, so I was old enough to be, you know, aware of pop culture and what was going on at that time. He had gotten busted for being in the hot tub with strippers in like Vegas during his bachelorette party or something. And then after that, somebody released pictures of him in the hot tub in Canada where he was filming some movie with a bunch of freaking girls that he picked up at a bar. And then all these stories started coming out about him cheating on her, and they paid to make the stories go away and denied it. And then, you know, months later, they broke up and they tried to blame it on the media intrusion into their lives. And this is the thing that I've always said. Look at how many other men can handle being with a super famous woman, especially when they're a super famous man themselves. They know how to move under the radar when they need to. Like, we didn't see Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie everywhere unless they wanted us to, but they did hella shit by themselves and with their kids that the paparazzi were not witness to. So they could have managed to do that, number one. And number two, if you really loved this woman to the extent that you wanted to marry her and spend the entire rest of your lives together, why would you let TMZ break you guys up? Kanye didn't let TMZ keep him from dating Kim and marrying her, and he freaking hates TMZ more than anybody. So that was just such a bullshit excuse and story that they have ran with, when really, no, y'all broke up because that man couldn't stay away from freaking strippers and the gambling table. Just like he cheated on Jennifer Garner with the nanny. Like, he's always gonna fuck up, and he is not somebody that should be getting married to anybody. He needs to get a hold of his addictions and his depression and his anxiety first. Yes, Ben trusts both Jens. Like, hella bad. He's screwed around with the damn nanny behind Jen Garner's back and then had her on the plane wearing Tom Brady's freaking Super Bowl rings, taking pictures. So, hey, Raina. Hey, Monica. How are you? So, yeah, he's definitely still sleeping around. Of course he is. So, thank God Carlos is not JLo 2.0 anymore. We won't have to relive this trauma once again. With that level of delusion, you'd think she'd manifest something happening. But this is the thing, guys. Do you think that Jennifer Lopez is actually really, truly falling real, true in love with all of these men, Ben included? No, she's always been strategic with the relationships that she's had. Like, she purposely dated Diddle Bop, you know, when she wanted to get her music career going, because then he bullied people into giving her songs for her album, and he bullied people into working with her, you know, and if he wasn't able to bully them, then Tommy Mottola did. But then it also, you know, gave her the ability to show up at the MTV Awards with fucking bandanas tied around her head like she was the female version of Tupac, because she wanted us to be into her being on Ja Rule songs and shit, you know? So it's like, she's always been strategic, just like when she wanted to resell herself back to the Latin market. All of a sudden, she's running after Mark Anthony. So, and she doesn't care if the man that she wants or that she decides is good for her career is with anybody else, you know, because both Mark Anthony and, what's his face, Diddy were with other women when she got with them. So, gave her songs just for her to have ghost vocals. Well, I mean, I know, Tommy Mottola is just so fucking evil. Yep, and then Diddle, you know, got caught up with his charge and she had to separate herself. And, but she's not really actually falling in love with these men. She falls in love with the idea that a man is going to worship her and make people pay attention to her. That's what she falls in love with, because after her and A-Rod split up, they were trying to ship her and Lenny Kravitz together, and Lenny Kravitz did not want anything to fucking do with her, so they had to go in a different direction. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, she's with Ben now, and it was like, okay, I guess. But she stood up on a freaking stage while Mark Anthony's current girlfriend, wife, whoever it was at the time, was sitting in the front row watching him gave him an award, called him the love of her life and her soulmate, and tried to kiss him on the mouth. And then when he didn't break up with whoever he was with to get back together with her, then she ran to go get with A-Rod, and then they were running around with, oh, Alex Rodriguez has been in love with Jennifer Lopez for years. He's always said that she was his crush, and now he said that he manifested her in this relationship. Because do you notice how there's always this story behind it that the guy just wanted her desperately for years, and then he finally got her? Because when her and Ben first started doing what they were doing again, you know, then all of a sudden there was all these stories coming out that for 2 years Ben was sending her love letters by email like they're fucking the people from the damn Notebook, and he wrote her a letter every single day until she replied, and now they're together again. What a miracle. So, and I would not be surprised if her movie is not a fucking rewrite of the damn Notebook. Saying is that she's already been stealing from it anyways. And let's also not forget that they got married on a plantation, guys, in Georgia. And what? It was like 2021. Like, there's no excuse for that kind of crap that these days. So, that's how they were trying to make it sound. They really had that story going everywhere, because I remember Wendy Williams talking about it. And she just said, well, if that's true, that's cute. And the way, you know how Wendy is when she says something. And when she says it like that, you know she doesn't entirely believe it either. But she's like, okay, girl, good for you, I guess. So, no, JLo was definitely used to try to take Mariah out the same way Carlos was used to take out Nicki, because Tommy Mottola had a real vendetta against Mariah at that time, and that's why he also married Talia. He was trying to push Talia as like the new Spanish Mariah Carey in the Latin market too, and that didn't work. And that's the thing that these CEOs need to realize. You are not going to replace anybody. Stop it. You always pick the great value version of somebody, and maybe you can really industry plant the hell out of them and make them their own career. Like JLo was able to, you know, establish herself outside of that. But JLo will still never be Mariah Carey's replacement, just like Carlos, no matter what anybody does, is never going to be Nicki's replacement. So let people establish themselves as their own artists and stop trying to do that shit. If somebody's meant to fall, they will fall on their own. My God. But no, and that's the thing, you guys. You can go look up on, I know on both the Vlad TV interviews as well as some of the Art of the Dialogue videos, Eugene Deal has talked about how when he was, because during the JLo era, he was, you know, Diddle's bodyguard. And he talked about how JLo tried to, you know, say some very racial things to Kim Porter when they had this big old confrontation in the studio, and said that she basically told her straight to her face that she was better and that he wanted to be seen publicly with her because she's a prize, because she's a white Hispanic and Kim is a dark-skinned black woman, which I don't even think Kim's dark-skinned. But, you know, and then she also called her the N-word and all types of bitches and hoes, and they were like pulling each other's hair and slapping each other, and Diddle didn't stand up for Kim, and that's why Kim left him alone for a few years because of that shit. And then of course you see as soon as him and JLo broke up, he ran straight back to Kim again. So, but Gene describes the whole thing multiple times on different videos you can find on YouTube, and you will really really be disgusted by JLo after that, and then add in, you know, her whole All Lives Matter thing, and that's why we called her that today. So what questions do we have about her? And Kolmika, we only discuss anything related to Nikki over in Patreon, as you are reminded every single live. Patreon.com/psychicbellalove. It's only $3 a month to join at the Barb's tier. Yep, she said that in Teddy, and then in some other song in the last couple years, she also called herself the little negrita from the Bronx, and then her stans tried to clean it up and say like, oh, it means I'm your little brown girl. I'm like, anybody that even took beginning Spanish in high school knows that that means little black girl. Like, are you dumb or are you stupid? What the hell? Like, you can't tell people that actually can speak Spanish, unlike her, what a word means. And that it's something different just because you want to cover up for her and make what she said okay. And why would you refer to yourself that? You're a white Hispanic, and that is okay to be white. My God. Put question in front of it, guys. How did JLo feel about the numbers of the single and album? Oh gosh. You guys put question in front of it, please. Otherwise, it just looks like another comment and they move fast. Let's see. How does Jennifer Lopez feel about this album's performance? Thank you. Do you know what I just heard? She feels like Beyonce and Taylor Swift are taking all the attention away from her right now. Like, girl, even if nobody released an album, like literally not one single other artist put out any other music, I still feel like most of us wouldn't have known that she put out this album or cared to listen to it anyways. Like, that's not why. That is so not why this flopped, girl. It's the fact that we've been telling you to shut the hell up for years. Okay, hold the questions for a second, guys, so I can get through the ones that are up here. But oh my God, that is hilarious. Like, she just makes me laugh so much. And, you know, and that's the other thing too, though. And that's, again, JLo needs to read some damn rooms, you know, if she's worried about people not fucking with her anymore. Because I know that she lost a hell of a lot of support when she did the Motown routines, or when she did like the Celia Cruz tributes, because it's like, you know, you're trying to partake in parts of culture that you've never been a part of and that you're not, and that there's plenty of other people that can actually sing and dance that are from that culture that could do that, you know, performance. And you need to have the brains to say, you know what, that's not for me. Why don't you pick somebody else and save yourself the embarrassment too? Like, that's why we need to use our discernment. Like, you guys know, especially in Patreon, what do I always tell you? We don't have to take every opportunity that comes our way. Sometimes there's tests from the universe, and sometimes it's a way for us to be aware of something so we can send a blessing to somebody else too. You know, like if somebody came to me and they wanted me to do like magic for a court case, you know, and obviously like that's not something that I offer, I would send them to Hoodoo Hannah, and that was my role in that connection, right? It was for them to introduce them to somebody that can help them and to pass the blessings in that direction, and know that another blessing will loop around and get me later on, but like, you don't have to say yes to everything just because you think that it's gonna do something for you, because not everything is. And she needs to learn that, because she is over saturated herself and then put herself in so many spaces that people don't feel like she belongs in, that it's lost so many people's, you know, goodwill towards her or interest in her. So that Motown shit was such BS. Y'all couldn't have called Brandy, Fantasia, Beyonce, there are Jasmine Sullivan, Ari Lennox, like, there are so many other black women who could have sang and who could have pulled off that performance. Jennifer Hudson would have killed that. Like, hello. You know, there's plenty of black women that can dance and sing that would have killed that Motown performance. Why were you there? I do not remember Puerto Ricans being a super big part of Motown, and that's nothing against Puerto Rican people. I'm just saying, same thing that, you know, like, if there was a bunch of Irish people on that stage, I would have been like, where the hell the Irish people come from? Like, what did they have to do with Motown? And I literally used to, like, listen for, like, in junior high, I used to listen to Motown, like, non-stop, like, way more than anything that was current. So I had all of the CDs, because that was the thing that we had then with CD players. So Smokey Robinson was defending her. I know, because I think that somebody made him. It was so disappointing. And that's the thing too, that there is so many other, not only better Latin American artists that they could have chosen to do the Celia Cruz tribute, because it's like, you don't speak Spanish. Like, that's the thing. Other than her being married to Mark Anthony and playing Selena in a movie, which that was an entirely different type of Latin American anyways. Like, you're still, like, going in a space that wasn't yours in that portrayal, but it's like, she doesn't really have, like, a real deep-rooted connection to the Latin experience either, the culture. So that's why it was like, I could understand why a lot of Latins were extremely upset about that and, you know, didn't like her being the person that was pulling that off either. So it's just like, when you keep going out and turning off entire communities of people just because you always want to be in the damn camera, it's going to come back to bite you in the ass at some point. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, the majority of her fan base is probably middle-aged white women who just aren't aware that she is such a huge cultural appropriator, like, why she's problematic. Well, they think that the old white ladies in the middle America probably think she's just Jenny from the block, while the rest of us are looking at her like, girl, stop. So, and listen, let's give Jennifer Lopez her flowers, though, because she has made it extremely far off of the minimal amount of talent that you can possess in any field. She is a very, 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 very mid actress. She is a horrendous singer, and she's only okay as a dancer, but yet she's, you know, turned herself into an A-lister. So good for her. Let's look. You know what? We should ask her what her prayer is. Or ask her for the Santeria tips, like, which Orisha is your family working with over there? Because some of us would like some of that. But also, Oh, I would rather her just stick to acting because then I can just ignore those movies. Uh, and please also stop playing Italian Americans. I don't know. There's plenty of Italian American actresses too. I can give you a whole list of them. Stop taking their spots. We don't know why you keep playing us, but for some reason, every single role you play as. But anyways, I was talking with Arisa's child recently because we were just talking about how In Living Color was like such a better show than SNL, and we were saying, you know, that show turned out like superstars if you think about it, and all of them still have careers to this day, even though that show fell by the wayside when me and her were basically little kids, because Jamie Foxx, Jim Carrey, all of the Wayans, Rosie Perez, you know, obviously Jennifer Lopez, like so many like big names, talents, and people who are, you know, other than JLo, very talented, came off of that show, and people don't give it its flowers for that. So just since we were talking about that. But anyways, so you know what's funny is, because I saw somebody say earlier, we were talking about this idea of this movie, you know, that she's going to have with Ben, is that, oh, now the divorce papers are going to get filed, you know, because it's basically like, I mean, let's be honest, that's kind of the, like, movie star equivalent of getting a tattoo of your significant other's name on you. Like, make a movie about your relationship, and of course it's gonna fall apart. And the funny thing is that Spirit's saying their relationship, or should we call it relationship, is in its absolute worst space that it has been at this moment. So the crazy thing is it's like, you know, while she's looking at this whole situation and not getting all the streams and whatnot, as like, oh, well, you know, Kanye dropped an album, Beyonce and Taylor took all of the attention off of me, Nicki's gonna go on tour, you know, so it's like everybody else overshadowed me because they dropped at the same time, and it's not my fault. She is more concerned about like the shit hitting the fan when it comes to her and Ben. She's definitely aware of his infidelities and just tries to ignore it and act like it's not happening, because there is this energy with her of, I have to make this work. I have to double down on it, because if it doesn't, it's the biggest ego wound in the world to her, because then it's, that proved all the haters, you know, because she always thinks that when we point out that man looks like he is ready to like sock somebody in the face or scream when he's around her, that, you know, we're haters and we hate their perfect love and their soulmates, and how dare you hate on our soulmate love. And it's like, girl, we just live in reality, and we can see that man cannot fucking stand you, okay? Like, stop it, and maybe stop calling the damn paparazzi on yourself all the time, and he wouldn't be so miserable when he's with you. But she feels like, you know, that would be the worst thing, because we would prove everybody, like, you know, oh, it's proving everybody right. Yes, it is a Biggie shirt. You know, I gotta represent for Big. That's my man. So I have a Biggie tattoo. Like, of course I'm on a Biggie shirt. So anyways, it's not his face. It says Juicy, because I got the nickname Juicy because I used to chew Juicy fruit gum and listen to Juicy on the bus every day. So anyways, she's gonna keep overlooking everything and pretending like everything is okay and living in Delulu land as long as she can, because she doesn't want to prove everybody right that we said, girl, this ain't gonna work out. So that's honestly what's like dominating her energy right now. And I see her being like, okay, like very disappointed, obviously, in the reception and the way that it went, but then feeling like, well, we have the movie coming. I'm going to dump all my energy into that, and that'll be the thing, because people love our love story, so that'll be the thing that people are going to be excited about and wanting to, you know, push the focus in that direction. So, yeah, she overlooks infidelities in all of her relationships. Mark Anthony cheated on her all the time, too. I don't think that fidelity is a requirement for her in her relationships. It's more like, don't let people find out and let me get embarrassed. But as long as you're showing up on red carpets and acting like you're just over the moon in love with me and everything's fine and wonderful, that's what I care about. Because again, you know, she's not really like deeply in love with these men. She's just, you know, trying to see how she can benefit from that. So she has no idea who she would try to date after him, you guys. Because let me tell you, the people that Spirit's saying that she would think that would be like her next target would not touch her with a 10-foot pole. And that would be people like Jeff Bezos. Because the ego wound that she will get when her and Ben fall apart, because they're definitely going to fall apart, you guys. It's inevitable. She is going to have to go and find whoever she can that she thinks is bigger than him, and that's gonna trump all of that people are gonna be like, Ben is so disgusting for hurting her again. How dare he? I'm so happy that JLo married Jeff Bezos and he worships the ground that she walks on, you know, and then she gets the ego rebuilt back up. The fact that she actually believes what she says. Girl, you were never even in the conversation, and I don't like Beyonce or Taylor Swift, but let's call a spade a spade. Well, that's the thing. I don't purposely follow anything that Taylor Swift has going on, but even I somehow know that she has an album coming out in, April, I think, or it's somewhere in the spring. I did not know that Jennifer Lopez's album didn't drop last year, first of all. Like, when all of a sudden it didn't get posted on that blog, I had to go look it up because I was like, I thought it came out last year. Why are we talking about it again? And last year when I thought it dropped, I thought, oh, well, it didn't really do anything. Nobody talked about it. Just that one interview and we moved on. So I thought we were past it. So what? She doesn't think that Selena Gomez is her competition or in any comparison to her, said Spirit, for the people that had the what does she think of Selena question. Go to hell, we could care less. We are barely invested in her music career. The only part of her music career that we are invested in is laughing at it. Let's be honest. Her and Kloger are one and the same. I feel like her and Ben are better working together than they are in a relationship. But they were horrible in the movies that they did together. Like, that's the thing. Like, they did the movies that they did together, like, everybody dragged them for filth because they were bad. Warren Buffett. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to imagine JLo with Warren Buffett. That would hilarious. Oh my God. She timed that drop horribly, just like Megan did too. Megan Thee Stallion, because why would you want to compete with Beyonce and Taylor Swift? Like, only like Nicki, Rihanna, Kanye, Drake, you know, are the kind of people that like would still be able to drop an album and survive when they are. And it's not, they, you know, have good fan bases that support their music, even if Beyonce's fan base doesn't support anything else that she does. They'll show up for the music, and Taylor's fan base will show up for anything that she does. She can fart and they'll pay for it. So, you know, if you're any artist that you haven't established yourself in that kind of league, you already know that you're going to get trampled by them. And then, of course, they both use a shit ton of payola because they want those chart toppers. So you're not going to match up against them. And that's the other thing, too, that if people don't know when it comes to the whole payola thing. Yes, they all use like cheap bot farms, you know, and streaming farms in places like Indonesia and whatnot. However, and all the labels, you know, buy streams too, even for artists that don't realize that their album or their single, you know, is being payola'd or whatever you want to call it. But say that this week Beyonce and Taylor and Drake are all using payola and competing with each other because they want to get to number one, okay? And you're Megan Thee Stallion and you want to use payola too. You're not even going to be able to afford the payola because the price today ain't what it was last week, because when they know that it's Drake and Taylor and all them, they raise the fucking prices on that shit too. So that's why a lot of times if you guys pay attention, then when they suddenly do show up in those top 10, other people that really organically were getting up there will flop right off. Or people that you know were using payola like Megan will slide right off because they can't afford the second, third, whatever weeks of payola because it's at a higher price that they can't afford any longer. So, and then, you know, once Drake and them stop using it, the price goes back down again. So if you are an artist that you know you haven't established yourself to have this huge fan base to sell you out and things, don't really, even if you plan on using payola to fake your streams, do not release your shit at the same time the other big artists are, because your stuff is gonna just not do well. And Megan's going to be up there trying to compete with all the big dogs that are going to be releasing and going out on tours this year too. And do you think that if somebody has a limited amount of money to pay for concert tickets, especially in this economy, and they have to choose between going to a festival that like Nicki or a Drake would be performing at, or going to a Nicki or a Drake concert, that they're going to choose to spend their money to go see Megan Thee Stallion instead? No, they're going to be like, I can only afford one or two of these things. I'm going to pick the bigger name person. So she's she's not doing, you know, that's not a smart move for her, especially if you're, I'm independent, which you're not, but you want people to believe that bullshit. But also, you guys know, I've said this in the Patreon too. Megan is also pushing that independent narrative, not only because it builds sympathy, but also because it's a convenient excuse. I'm independent, so I can't afford all of the same promotions and things, or I don't have the label support, or I don't have this or that people who are in a 360 or a full real contract would have. So of course all my songs aren't gonna chart. Of course it's gonna be harder for me to sell a tour. And they'll just turn it into more victim and sympathy shit for her, because that's what her whole career operates off of. So They put everything into their music just for like clowns like Carlos or JLo to thrive. I know, it sucks. The music industry just takes the joy out of the music in general. Well, you guys, you know what? Because we talked about this also in Patreon. Why are we giving any weight to the Grammys whatsoever anyways, just as the general public? Because that is chosen by people like Jason Flea, who, why are you on the Grammy board and having the opportunity to vote for people anyways? What contributions did you truly make into the music industry that you're important enough to do that? Because, like, at the end of the day, regardless of if you like him or hate him, he's a gossip blogger. Like, shouldn't songwriters and, you know, I don't know, record producers and people that actually, like, really are deep into the music industry be the ones that are on that board, not bloggers? So it's only about industry popularity, whose buddy voted for them. You know, people like Taylor Swift will have private listening parties for people that they know are on the Grammy boards and have Ruth's Chris cater it. And they do all kinds of crap. So it's all about who you know, the popularity contest, who pissed somebody off on whether or not you're going to get a Grammy, right? Versus when we have the People's Choice Awards, or when we do have like the MTV Awards and they have those certain awards that are fan voted, that's genuine because that's showing who the GP actually messes with, right? And we all know how we are as human beings. We're lazy. How many times do you get DoorDash and the person always says, oh, can you please leave me a positive feedback, and you don't? So for the fact that we are people that do that and then actually pick up our phone and go to a website or text a number or do whatever we need to do to vote for that person actually means something. And that shows you, no, the general public actually supports this artist. This is who they're listening to. This is who we like. And the industry should also be paying attention to that more than who won a Grammy and seeing, because who wins the Grammy and who we vote for are always like two separate people, right? But that's why I'm saying, like, we need to pay more attention to those fan voted awards, because that's telling us who the general public is messing with. And if the general public ain't messing with you, boo-boo, it doesn't matter how many people in the industry's dicks you suck. If you're not making them money, they're not investing in you and they don't care about you anymore and you're useless to them. So they can go and do as many satanic rituals as they want. They can sleep whoever they want. They can bribe everybody. They can blackball people. But at the end of the day, if we, the people, are not buying the albums and listening to the music or supporting the brand in one way or another, they're not making money, their handlers aren't making money, and there's no point in them. And look at how many people win these bullshit awards, like they make up awards. Dawn Soap, Woman of the Year, like, the fuck? When did that happen? And who cares about that? You know, it's just because they wanted to give Lotto an award or whatever, and it's like, okay, nobody ever heard of Dawn Soap Awards before today, but now Lotto's the Woman of the Year and we're all supposed to be impressed by it. Like, that sounds like her record label sent Dawn a check and said, make up an awards show real quick and find something to give our artist. They didn't give the Grammy to Michael for Bad, and it still made a bigger impact than the album that won. Well, that's the thing. You guys, look, we talk about, remember that year that Beck won? And he, like, beat out Kanye and Beyonce and a bunch of other people who had, like, really big years in music. Does anybody remember that Beck album? Does anybody even know what Beck looks like? I do, because he was actually popular when I was growing up, and by the time he won that, nobody cared about him anymore. But We still listen to Single Ladies. We still listen to Kanye's albums and music that he put out during that time. In fact, that's why a lot of people, if you go on the Kanye fan pages, are like, I can't agree with anything that Kanye ever does. But, you know, they start listing Graduation and College Dropout and this and that. And these are like classics that I still listen to. So I still mess with the music, not the man, you know. But like, that's what happens all the time. Just because you won the Grammy does not mean you're going to be a successful artist for the rest of your life. It doesn't mean people are going to want to listen to your music again after you put it out. It's useless and meaningless. The audacity to give Carisha the podcast award over Drink Champs. Again, she put out 3 podcasts in a single damn year and they give her an award over somebody that's consistent, and that's because Diddle Bop, you know, made sure that she got that award. And again, guys, I keep telling you, Carisha's not really anything truly special to Diddle. She's just his little PR stunt, because it's like, look, everybody said I didn't let Cassie work. I go out of my way to make sure that Carisha's okay. So congratulations if you win. It means Jason Flea likes you, or you are his next target. Now you have to invite him to all your birthday parties forever. And you can't have any brunches without him. He's going to just like expect to be invited to every single thing you ever do for the rest of your life. And listen, I know that he threatened her and said that he had some other stuff, but I kind of also thought that like that whole like, oh, I spared you or whatever he said, I kind of felt like some of it too was like, maybe he was going to spill some tea about like how the Carters do try to like bully and strong arm people to get their way, and that maybe it had something to do with like the Grammy voting or something. So Carisha played her cards wrong. JT never made her relationship the center of her brands. I know. Well, that's because, again, you guys, I've told you, it's so easy for them to manipulate and control the girls that don't really have any talents and are just there because they're pretty and they can recite things well, even if you can't understand what they're reciting. And they get all caught up in their ego because to her it was like, oh, well, I don't have to work or have any more talent anymore. I'm connected to Diddle Bop. I'll get whatever I want. That blew up, didn't it? Everybody's been airing Robot and Camel out lately, so anyways, guys, let's move on to, hey, my sweet babies, Miss Monique. That is okay, Lindsay. We know the fur babies like to be very demanding. You guys, I feel so bad in the morning when I get up. Like, Onika will be outside of my door at like 4 a.m. And I usually feed them around 6. And she knows that. Like, cats are like pretty good at like having a sense of time, because the other cats don't come up there until closer, like the last 15-20 minutes before I go take their food out to them. But she just sits there like for hours, and I always wonder like, when does she come there? Because I gotta like set an alarm to wake up like an hour early and go see if she is out there or not. But I don't know, it just like made me feel bad. Like, oh, you're just sitting outside of the door waiting for me. She's so cute. She's the Diddle's toilet seat. Ugh. Gross. It's scary how when people get famous, they grow such a strong sense of delusion and entitlement. They grow into the worst kind of people. They so do. So, all right, Robin, it was nice to have you here. We'll see you next time, babe, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. You love Monique, but she reminds you of some elders in your life sometimes, and either feels like she would be very nurturing or my worst nightmare. You know, I have parts of Monique that I like and parts of her that I don't. You know, but I think that goes for a lot of people because people are multifaceted and have different sides to them, you know, and act different in different situations. And it doesn't mean, you know, anybody's all bad or all good most of the time, unless you're Diddle and Camel, and then you're just all bad. But I definitely get that, Sana. I think that Monique also, this is just an assessment that I have come up with her. You know, I think that number one, that husband of hers definitely gasses her up, good and bad. But also, I get the feeling that Monique also, like, she kind of has this almost a bit entitled arrogance to her that some elders can have, where it's like, oh, just because I made it to this age, I automatically know everything. And if you are younger than me or in some sort of a position where I have more power than you, then I'm automatically the authority. I know better. My word goes over yours, you know, and it's sort of like, that's where you get that worst nightmare side of her, depending on how you receive that energy and what dynamic you're willing to have with her after that. And so I think that that's also why Monique often has a difficult time with some of her peers, because she doesn't know how to manage when you're on the same level as somebody else, if that makes sense. And I think that her husband manipulates that, because I think some of it is a bit of a trauma response to how she grew up and the things that she went through, where when you have been a child of abuse or you have experienced trauma where you felt like the situation that happened was out of your control, it is really common as an adult to then become a bit controlling, because that creates in your mind this fake safety net where it's like, nobody can hurt me because I'm in control. But the reality is, then you have Oprah and Tyler situations and all of that, because you learn you cannot be in control of every single thing in life. And I think that her husband puts the battery in her back and tells her that she's right all the time, or he starts ranting about how he thinks something should go, and then she decides, oh yeah, you're right, that's how it should have happened, and then goes along with him, and then it turns into what it turns into. And I think Monique has a lot of work she still needs to do on herself, and I do not. But that also doesn't invalidate her experience with Oprah and Tyler, because I do feel like she was in the right in that situation. You know, and I understand that, like, a lot of people feel like, you know, while right now this should be some sort of a redemption era for her, you know, because Taraji has basically corroborated what she had to say. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, but it was the delivery and the way that she went about it and this and that. And I'm like, I understand both sides of everything, you know, and it is a difficult situation as far as that all goes. But when it comes to her son, you guys, I feel like she is dead ass wrong. Like, this boy has told you what his problem is. You acknowledged it. You've confirmed, yeah, that happens. But he's not just letting it go and kissing your butt and acting like it never happened again. And that's her problem, because she loves to hold other people accountable, but she's not willing to hold herself accountable. And that's a problem with a lot of older people that haven't done their work, you know, is that they think that they healed because they're holding other people accountable. And they don't realize that healing doesn't mean you hold everybody else accountable. It means you hold yourself accountable. So it got twisted somewhere in her brain. That's just my opinion from watching her. Ew, this is my whole thing too, guys. Let me just tell you something straight up. Not even from a spiritual perspective, but just me as a human being. I have never wanted to discuss my relationship, good or bad, with others, or talk about my sex life and good or bad with others, because this is the thing. People are visual. Do you want that you say, oh, my man puts that shit down good? Now all these hoes are imagining what your man be doing in the bedroom. No, the fuck not. He's got a shrimp dick. Look the other way, bitch. Also, then you just invite so many opinions in, and then when you overshare, that is a spiritual weakness that you are creating for yourself. Stop sharing everything about your life. Everybody doesn't have good intentions for you, and it weakens your own protection and your own spiritual power when you share everything with everybody. And this doesn't mean don't ever talk about anything. It means talk about it with your trusted people. If you have a psychic that you trust, a therapist, you know, somebody that is an expert in that area and can really truly help you and has your best interests at heart and is going to look at the situation from every point of view and help you make the right choice for you. But in the meantime, sitting up on Instagram talking about you and your boyfriend's fights or how y'all got freaky last weekend or any of that, you are breaking down the protection that is supposed to be around you and your relationship, which is supposed to be sacred, and giving keys to all of these people to do whatever the fuck they want to, spiritually, emotionally, physically, or otherwise. So learn to keep your mouth shut. And again, like I said, if you don't care about the spiritual aspect of it, you want all these hoes thinking about your man's dick? I don't. If I think about, I don't even have a man right now, and just me thinking about some other bitches thinking about my invisible man is getting me heated. I'm Italian. We swing skillets around over here. And I also got enough Hispanic in me that you'll catch a chancla also. So what questions do we got about Monique? Are you growing older? Are you just growing taller? That is hilarious, and that's a good one. Listen, and just because somebody has mental illness issues does not mean that their feelings are not valid. They probably have mental health issues because you broke them and gave them to them, you know? Like, so why would you use that against them? But on top of it, it's like, I hate when people act like because somebody has mental health issues that their feelings, side of the story, opinions, anything isn't valid anymore, because people always want to invalidate anything that Kanye has to say and be like, well, he's bipolar. You probably have no idea how many bipolar people that you have living around you in your life right now that you would never imagine, because they're able to manage their condition. Your dentist, your accountant, your coworker, your boss, your neighbor, like, stop. That has nothing to do with it. Just because you have mental health issues does not mean that your feelings and your thoughts and your opinions or anything that you have to say isn't valid. It just is the same way that you have a broken foot, but that doesn't invalidate what you have to say about today. Same thing. How does Monique truly feel about her son now, and will they ever reconcile? Spirit's saying they'll make up, but they could have used this as a moment to just like patch everything up and reconcile right now. But because her ego got wounded and now she's gone on this like defensive tour you know, where it's like I have to go out there and like go. And I think that because she was already sort of activated in defense mode, you know, like, oh, now the whole Oprah situation's coming up again and people want to talk about it again and bring me into it, that she didn't know how to step out of that energy when it came to her and her son. So it's like the same way that I was, you know, real quick to be like, yeah, let's throw everybody under the bus again. I took that energy into my personal life when it needed to stay in the business side of things. And that's obviously only further separating her and her son from each other and further damaging their relationship, because both of them have a need and feel like they need to go online and defend themselves, you know, or make a public defense rather than talking to each other and sitting down. Like, you know, if you feel like you guys can't get through to each other, you're rich, hire a mediator, go to a freaking retreat on a weekend in Palm Springs with a bunch of therapists, and they can facilitate some sit-down conversations and help you guys have that productive conversation where everybody feels like they're able to get their side out. But there is no excuse for this, and that's how Spirit's saying he's gonna ultimately, and we'll see this from him, say that he just doesn't want to respond to any more of this anymore, and that he just wants to live his life separately from his mom and move on from it, because it's like he's going to get to that point where he's going to feel like this isn't productive. We're not going to get anywhere. You're only making me resent you more, and you're hurting me more, and I just don't want anything to do with this situation anymore. Give it a couple years though, because it does feel like there's absolutely no contact for a few years, and then they will reconcile, and Monique will make a big ass deal about making sure that everybody knows that they're in a good place at that point. But Monique also needs to understand too that because she keeps getting mad and feeling like people are coming for her, putting all your business with your kid on Front Street isn't helping things, because you're just feeding more shit to the people that don't like you to use against you, and then you get mad because they bring it up, and it's like, but you're the one that's putting this all out here like this, you know? So it's like she needs to step out of herself and really see what's really going on outside of her own little bubble with daddy and the bonnets. I definitely do feel, Hannah, that her, I feel like that's exactly what happened, you know? It's like her redemption era. I mean, my baby daddy is going through something kind of similar with his mom, except that she's doing it with him rather than a new set of siblings or whatever. But I do feel like Monique definitely, you know, did feel like she has to try harder, you know, with the new kids, because she knows that she messed up with the first one. I mean, Monique loves him. It's just that Monique doesn't like when people around her, you know, don't do what she wants. That's the problem, you know. She's stubborn and has an ego. And listen, every single last person in Hollywood, you guys, whether they are a full-blown narcissist that, you know, a psychiatrist would give them that diagnosis if they were able to or not, they all have narcissistic tendencies. Like, everybody has the ability to be narcissistic, you know, even if we're not a full-blown narcissistic sociopath diagnosed or whatever. And it's just, you know, like that old native proverb about which wolf you feed. But you do have to lean into that narcissistic energy if you're going to make it in any way, shape, or form when it comes to fame and celebrity, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to handle it for a second, you know, and you have to build up that ego too with all of the rejection and the hatred and the criticism that's constantly coming your way. So it's never a surprise when we read on anybody or anybody does anything and everybody's like, oh, they're acting like a narc, because it's like Hollywood makes them become that way, basically, and that's their survival skills, but it also is their downfall at the same time in that industry. Can, if her and Daddy break up, it's because Daddy left her and he ain't going anywhere. Monique is stuck on that man. There is some deep ass soul ties with them, and she solely really, I don't know if you guys heard, she said somewhere that like he healed all of her mommy and daddy issues through his love that he had for her. She really, truly, deep down inside believes that. She thinks that man is her Lord and Savior and that he has cured her of every damn thing that's ever tried to hurt her, and that he's got her back 100%, and that she's never going to find anything or anybody that can compare to that. So, and she's happy with him. He's happy because she does whatever the hell he wants her to do, and she listens to him, and she goes out and makes all that money. That's what their relationship is like. It's a very codependent, kind of dom sub type of a dynamic, if you will. I don't know if they are tying each other up and whipping each other, you know, but it's just the way that she so blindly is willing to just submit everything and do whatever the hell he wants and let him lead her down to the pit of hell if that's what he wanted, you know, then that's what she's doing. And then this will be, she has a praise fetish, no judgment though. Hey, listen, don't we all to an extent? Don't we all have a praise fetish to some extent? Maybe not in the bedroom, but I was like, I don't know anybody that doesn't like being praised, but and I'm just playing around. So did he do spell work on her, Hannah? I don't feel like he actually had to. You know, I think that he just knew how to trauma bond with her and act like he was the antidote to everything bad that had ever happened to her, and she fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. So, you know, I'm a Leo. I was born with one. I was like, hey, I'm Venus ruled and I'm a Leo rising. Of course, you know, I got a praise king. But anyways, guys, I have to wrap it up a bit early today because I have to do a call with a client, and this was the only time that we could squeeze it in. And if you wanted to book your own personal private reading with me, you can go to psychicbellalove.com. And also, guys, I do not randomly DM you guys offering you readings on Instagram. So if anybody that has my pictures on there, and it doesn't matter what name they're using, starts sliding in your DMs offering readings, that ain't me. I do not say grand rising and your ancestors have a message for you from beyond and all that, you know, cuckoo stuff. So, and I will certainly never promote anything to do with twin flames. If you see that, then you know for sure that ain't Bella. I have one business page, Psychic Bella Love, has 100,000 plus followers on it. That's the real one. I've had that since the day Instagram became open for everybody to use. So anyways, guys, but you know, always make sure to, just in general, whether it's me or anybody else, book through a website. That way, you know, I'm really 100% booking with this person. And then on top of it, you have some recourse if they don't send you a reading or they try to scam you or whatever, versus trying, God help you, to get your money back from like Venmo or Cash App. So, you know, just be smart and protect yourself, guys. All of us have websites. Always go through the website, psychicbellalove.com. Love you. Hope everybody has a great one, and we will be back next week. Bye, guys.